which is a very important aspect to what we all do. So this is how I intend to do it, in essentially 3 simple parts, and with a clock. Look at the fundraising landscape, ask you 2 very important questions. How do we fundraise, and why do we give? And then I want to try and give you 3 simple steps. I have 7 simple steps, but I didn't have the time to give you those, but we'll see how we go. And also, I want to split my time in half and actually do a workshop with you guys to try and hear from you and also learn from you as well. Okay, this is me, my digital self. My whole team have an avatar. Yeah, and the one with no hair. It was very easy to create mine. I didn't have to buy accessories. I do have a last name, and I do have some letters after my name. They make me appear clever, but they can be bored. I'm just a member of a few fundraising associations. I'm not a member of the mafia, although a quick read, you'd think I was. And I was wearing all black, but I changed my shirts, and I thought it might bolster that rumor. As the doctor explained, I'm the CEO of simplygiving.com. I also founded a similar platform in Australia called gofundraise.com.au. So I am very passionate about technology. And I think we all should be very passionate about technology for the various things it is capable of empowering us and enabling us to do what we do in our everyday life. This week was very exciting for me, not least that I'm here to meet with you guys. I'm very humbled by the opportunity, but we were also announced as winners of Talent Unleashed, which means this weekend, Sir Richard Branson on Necker Island with Steve Wozniak, who's another idol of mine, will be discussing or deciding on a global winner. So I am going to try, if I can give you something useful, to urge you all to vote for me at the end. So I'll give you the URL, because there is a People's Award there. Okay, so about me, a bit of background to explain why I'm passionate about giving. I have a chronic illness. I'm a type 1 diabetic, so obviously with that comes an urgency for research, a realization of the challenges it has on my well-being and of my family as well. So that is a big impact on me. I grew up in Africa, in Nairobi, and that was a time when I experienced animal conservation, social mechanisms like microfinancing, and various things that opened my eyes to non-profit work and awaken that passion within me. This is my boss. This is Jude Domingo Rogers. This is a more recent shot from this weekend in Kuala Lumpur at breakfast with mummy sunglasses. He inspires me about my future more than I inspire myself, so it's a very important barometer when it comes to what I try and do around fundraising. So giving to me is very important. Not just online, but offline giving, traditional giving, philanthropy, major gifts, all sorts of fundraising that's available to us is a personal passion, second only to the technology beast in the room. It's incredible how far we've come in our lifetime, in the past 7 years, in the past 2 years, with what technology is now capable of doing. This, though, is how we see technology, right? As a sector, as patient support groups, we think, we can't build websites, we can't join social channels. We have enough problems as it is trying to do what it is that we do. So technology is traditionally a very scary place. I'll give you an example this week. My relationship manager, country manager in KL, sent me this text. I apologize that the font in this presentation is a little small. I'll read it to you. Morning, Chris, typo. I'm stuck in a terrible gen, which I think means jam. I'm still in PJ. We'll try to get there so soon as I can. Sorry. Also, I'm writing this via my watch. Sorry about the spelling. The only response I could give her was, that's crazy modern, because she's using a wearable device to dictate a text to me in her car in traffic. She's using one of these things. Now, this is a reality. There's a Google Developers Conference happening this morning. There's a lot of press coverage, which for those that are surfing the web will have seen, that wearable devices is where Google's headed, and this whole integration of said devices. But it's crazy, she's in the office, and she'll be talking animatedly about an idea, and suddenly, she'll go, oh, I just took a photo, sorry, and that's her watch. So you can imagine, there's a little camera in the Samsung Galaxy. I'd love to see the film of every shot she's taken animatedly as she gets excited. So It's kind of a scary place for us, but I will remind you, there are some simple things we can all do to leverage technology without being a geek. I'm the geek. I'm a proud geek. You guys have got far more important work to do. Okay, I'll tell you a little bit more about why technology. I'll stop about technology soon, I promise. But look at this. This is numbers I crunched last week. The top 10 by number in terms of population in the world. Nothing surprising there. Can you all read it? Then, when you actually include social networks, only 4 countries survive. The rest, in terms of numbers or members of social networks, are taken by, in this order, Facebook, Tencent, WhatsApp, Google+, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Big countries. A few things surprised me. I'd never heard of Tencent. Has anyone else? It's Alibaba. So all the Alipay and all of their networks that they have is under the Tencent group. So very big in China. We should know more about Tencent because of the impact they have in our region. Another thing that surprised me about this is LinkedIn. It's a professional network, so one that can potentially be far more useful to us as fundraisers than the other more social networks. So the seismic growth of LinkedIn is very exciting. A quick question in the room. How many of you here are directly responsible for fundraising within what it is that you do? A show of hands. Okay, so not many. Well, actually, quite a few. You just seem a bit shy. Not half hands. I'm not going to make you do anything. Don't worry. How many are involved in fundraising? Okay, a lot more. To some extent, yeah. How many people have donated to a charity or cause over the past year? Show of hands. Okay, we have some stingy people in the room. Okay, good. It gives me an idea of how to approach this. Obviously, fundraising is not just about getting money. It does tie into advocacy, support, numbers, communities. So it's very important that we pay attention. So this revolution, the technology revolution, there's only really 3 things you have to consider about the impact of technology. The first being that we are more connected than ever before. The second is that we do have access to more information than we have ever had before. It's incredible, the new world of big data, what we can find. And before anyone supports you as a support group or donates to you, they will do their research about the condition, about the outlook, about the success stories, about the research, about the reality. And so it's very important to realize that technology has always got to work in your favor. And finally, we can and should launch large communities online, communities of interest. To simplify it, am I going too fast, or is this okay? I'm just painfully aware of the time. We reach out more than ever before. If we were in a room like this 10 years ago, we'd be discussing how many doors we'd have to knock on. Corporate doors, friends' doors, but really on your hands, you can count them. Now, with the advent of social technology, we can reach out wider and further than ever before and find like-minded people. Let me just show you one campaign, one of the reasons or epiphanies that made me launch Go Fundraise in Australia. And that was actually this guy, Chris Hughes. Do you guys know him? I actually watched The Social Network last night in my hotel room. He's one of the co-founders of Facebook. And in The Social Network, he's the one at the back just drinking beer. That was his part. But he jumped ship quite early on in Facebook, left with 1%, you know. It's made him a billionaire, but anyway, he jumped ship and joined Barack Obama's first presidential campaign because he saw the potential of technology to mobilize, organize volunteers and attract what he termed as micro donations. So Mybo.com, which the campaign was called, was created by Chris Hughes. It was for the 2008 election campaign, and he became the campaign manager. One thing he said about technology was this: technology is at its most powerful when it enables people to do something they already want to do anyway. That's all technology is. It's just another way in which you can engage with people and they can do the same. Have a listen to what he said about the campaign. When I show videos, I'll show you how I reached there. So I just Googled Chris Hughes Obama campaign. You'll find 7, 8 other videos that are quite useful for grassroots support campaigns.
Okay, go.
Sure. Hi, I'm Chris Hughes, and I'm at the Democratic Convention with Cheryl here. We're just talking about some of the most important things that supporters across the internet can do. A couple things that are just happened recently. Going to
This
vote
is
for
a little
change.com
boring, so
again.
I forwarded it just to the bit I want you to hear.
That would be great.
Tell us about the Grassroots Finance Committee. That sounds pretty awesome and revolutionary.
Sure, there's a grassroots finance committee. It's a group of people that are committed to raising $1,000 each for the campaign over the next couple of months. But they make that commitment, but it's up to us as a campaign to help supply them with all the tools that they need to make the first ask, to coordinate their fundraising, and also helping them have direct access to important people inside the campaign so that they understand that they're a valued part of the organization.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
So it went on to become a hugely successful illustration that the philanthropist is alive and well, but the micro-philanthropist, the small donations, can make an equally big impact on what it is that you want to achieve. The few important things he said is that he called it Grassroots Finance Committee. He made that up. You can call it whatever you want. But develop a small program that everyday people can become part of has been very successful in grassroots campaigns. I've used that word 6 times in the seminar already. Provide the tools they need to make the first ask. So this is now getting into some nitty-gritty about how they did so well, but they gave these people tools through which to make the request to support what it is you're trying to do. These are some numbers. They look very big for me. We're never going to achieve these kinds of numbers, are we? Could we? Should we? Can we? Yeah, there's people going, I want that. But this all started with an idea. This all started with a simple concept. And so it's not beyond our reach to do something very similar. Why was it so successful? Hello? That's better. Wow. Really, if you can't hear me, you can now, but just let me know if this one goes. I'm too involved. Okay, so why was it so successful? This is, to me, quite significant. It doesn't matter if it's a company or a campaign, you build around commonality. If it's real people and real communities, then it's valuable. Too many people decide to, let's start a Facebook fan page because everyone else is doing it. Let's start a blog because that's what we think we should do in the technology world. It's pointless unless you believe you are building a genuine community of interest. And in this room, we do have a genuine community. So technology becomes very valid. Okay, I promised I'd power through. Here come the 2 questions, and I will take it to you guys as well rather than talk to you. But the question is how? How do we fundraise? So we'll cover that one first, and the second one is why. And not why do we fundraise, but why do we give? In my previous job, we did a survey of 80,000 donors and fundraisers and asked them a simple question, why do you give? So if one of you can get to the answer during that exercise, I'll be very surprised because it blew me away, the real reason why people gave. Okay, so this exercise, I don't want to ruin it. What fundraising options are available? So humor me, if you will, around the room and just shout out ways in which groups can fundraise. I'll give you the first. Let's say major gifts, right? So major donors, big rich people, give us some, give it $1 million pledge. You can tell I type more than I write. Any other suggestions from the room? Think of ways in which we fundraise. Events? Who said that? Brilliant, thank you. Events. So walkathons, marathons, fetes, gifts, fairs, that kind of thing. Think other ways in which we might fundraise. I can't hear you. Charity events, similar, we can bundle that under events, charity events.
To support a cause.
But that's not a way to fundraise, that's a reason that we give. Wrong question. Merchandise, great. Merchandise. Legacy. This is a very established way of fundraising in more Western cultures. Bequesting your wealth once you leave your mortal coil and leave that with a cause. It's only a developing strategy in Asia, which to me was counterintuitive. But yeah, legacy gifts is one way of fundraising. Okay. I'll really hassle you on the next question. I won't labor this point, because obviously we're not all fundraising professionals in the room. So let me tell you a few. Major donor fundraising. Now that's difficult for groups like us, right? Because it's hard to get in front of the uber high net worth individuals. I'll give you one tip, and this ties into advocacy as well. There's a group that I work with called WealthX. So it literally is the word wealth, W-E-A-L-T-H, and the letter X, wealthx.com. Their whole job is to build dossiers on the uber high net worth people. And we as a sector can purchase those dossiers to learn more about these people. So it's actually quite a valid exercise if we want to advocate or fundraise to be able to look deeper in to the high net worth individuals across the globe, and we can actually be specific and find out who has been touched by leukemia or by a different type of cancer. Which ones are cancer survivors? So if major giving is within your capabilities and resources, then Major Gifts and WealthX would be your friend. For some reason, I put this in my pocket. Community fundraising, the most common method of fundraising, and I will share with you now a few ideas around community fundraising that we might entertain here. Direct marketing fundraising, letters, advertising, posters, digital marketing. These are all things that might sound like they're not within your capabilities, but are relatively easy to produce and get out. Corporate fundraising. A question I had for FIFA, which I didn't get a chance to ask, was corporate social responsibility is an emerging thing here, but it's not an established thing. People run a mile from CSR, in Malaysia particularly because of the ethical side of things. They don't really want to have to adhere to a certain protocol, right? So CSR is working very well in workplace giving. Corporates will jump at the opportunity to give you their staff and say they'll take part in KL Marathon, or let them volunteer for a day within a hospital to get that experience. So there are ways in which corporate giving can work in our favor. Event fundraising is one that was put up there because we know they work. The world's greatest shave, Movember, all of these campaigns and event-driven fundraising. Face-to-face fundraising, trust foundations, legacy fundraising, capital campaigns. These are all great ways in which to get money, but I'll hazard a guess that they're probably beyond us at this stage. But having assumed that, please do interrupt me and say, no, Chris, this is very relevant. Tell me a bit more about one of these four. You have 5 seconds starting now. Brilliant. Okay, we move on. There's another way of looking at this, and it's triangular. I don't like triangles. They're very pointy. They look like they hurt. But at the bottom is where we sit quite comfortably as grassroots fundraisers. Annual giving, direct mail, special events, media. But the trick for larger organizations is to work a donor up through this triangle until they eventually become a planned giver. Now let's simplify this, and don't worry too much about taking this away from this talk. Think more about a new kind of pyramid, which is more circular. It's more circular because I made it. But the thing about the traditional giving pyramid is I've found in my experience over the past 4 to 5 years, we're often finding people at the bottom of a giving triangle can have just as much impact as those at the very top. So it's no longer about high net worth individuals, It's highly networked individuals that could really benefit small groups like ourselves. This is an example of one guy in Singapore who ran a small marathon across the Gobi Desert. It was a ridiculous mileage. It took him a few weeks, I think. But he fundraised online, and he used all of the channels available to him: email, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. He even shot a video of himself in the lead up to the event. Now, this one individual who came in off of the radar of the organization, they didn't know this gentleman before he decided to fundraise for them. It's the Singapore Cancer Society, I think. After his run, he raised 54,000 Singapore dollars. I'd call that fairly philanthropic, right? What could we do with that money? Quite a lot. We could put together some really far-reaching, sustainable strategies for our small patient groups. We could at least afford resources to do something more valuable with a measurable outcome. So what really impressed me about these kind of case studies is how they achieve that number. They don't write you a check. He's not wealthy. He actually brought in 360 plus donors by just reaching out to his friends, his colleagues, and saying, please support me. I'm a survivor. I'm running a marathon. I'm doing this because I believe we can do more as individuals. Give to me. He awakened an army of what I call slacktivists, those that don't really want to get off the sofa, but would support you if they were asked. So he reached out to them, and it was a very clever way to do more with less resources. He also found 3 corporates that now support Singapore Cancer Society. Okay? So very quickly, time check. A few ways in which people do fundraise, a few ideas for you to take away if and when you do discuss fundraising as a group. One of the most successful programs in Australia is called Can2 for Cure Cancer, where people become part of this training program in the lead up to one of any number of major events, and are mentored and trained and have guest trainers, and in return they pledge to fundraise a minimum amount for Cure Cancer. It's a great way to mobilize people and make it a very collective effort and be part of a team doing something big and enjoyable and personally fulfilling as well. Another big aspect to community fundraising, which is very simple for small groups to do, are challenges. Quit your mobile phone for a day. Everyone's going like that, no. Quit Facebook for a week. Quit smoking, shave, climb, jump. This is all what I call bucket list fundraising. It's something very established in Western society, where it's all about me. I'm climbing a mountain, look how amazing I am, support me with a donation. It's less about the cause. Something I've been seeing a lot since we've studied regionally what makes people give is that it's not really about challenges, it's about direct campaigns. We've all heard about crowdfunding. It's one of the most trending technologies at the moment, where people raise money for an idea or a concept, and there is a charitable aspect to this as well. Possible is one of the largest platforms that now have a footprint locally, where you can launch donation appeals and reach out via social networks. The reason this works and resonates very well is because you're asking for something specific in a certain amount of time. There's an urgency about it. And it also appeals to the slacktivists that don't want to run the marathons but will still give. So we're finding direct appeals work particularly well. I see people thinking, but please turn that into questions if you will. Yes?
What does that mean? Crowdfunding, go to the crowd?
Okay, good. I've made a sweeping assumption that we all know what crowdfunding is. There are now platforms out there, technology speaking, there are websites, where you can create a campaign, upload images, upload videos, upload descriptions about what you as a group are trying to do, and you set a target, and then you put that out to your universe, your supporters, your network, your social channels, and ask people to donate directly to the campaign. What spawned this idea was if someone has a great creative idea, I'm building a portable solar-powered iPhone charger, but I need $100,000 to make it work. Crowdfund me. And if you do crowdfund me, you'll get the first one I make. So for charitable crowdfunding, we have to think of other ways in which to incentivize giving. I'll come on to crowdfunding a bit at the end, if I may. I'm aware of time once again. So this is when I bug you again, people. Sorry. I do want to know this one. Ask yourself 2 questions, and then throw it out to the universe for us. What has motivated you to give in the past? What has motivated your family, friends, and people around you to give? So why do you give? Why do we give, people? It makes you feel good. Now that one is great. Yeah. So it makes you feel good. Concern, absolutely.
From the past experience.
From past experience, expand if I can see that voice.
May change, yeah.
Am I loud? Sorry, past experience. So.
Okay, just an example. For instance, like maybe when I was young, I did not have a chance to. When I was young, I come from a very poor family.
Yeah.
You know, like I couldn't celebrate my birthday, you know, and like that. So right now, I have the ability to give. So I would want to
Yeah.
give it back because of my past.
Exactly. Giving it back. Giving it back. Yeah, returning. You know, to give back. Absolutely. There's a World Giving Index. I don't know if you've all seen that. It's put out every year, where they Gallup poll every country in the world, and they rank you in terms of how much you give in by money, by volunteering your time, and by helping thy neighbor. Last year, which country do you think gave the most in terms of donations? This is 85% of its adult population donated to charity during the month of that poll. What country? Australia usually tops the World Giving Index, but no. Pakistan was featured, but no.
Malaysia.
No. Myanmar. That's the same reaction I get every time. And they didn't top the World Giving Index. That was America this year, interestingly. Then Ireland, then Australia, then New Zealand. But in terms of donating money to charity, Myanmar. Why? It was because of what you just said. They grew up, they're Buddhists. They know what it is to give. But they were never able to give money until there's an emerging middle class. Suddenly we have a disposable income. Suddenly giving manifests itself in cash donations rather than helping thy neighbor. So in Asia, we're experiencing a huge emerging middle class. And so giving is growing exponentially. We do well to remember that. So a few more. I'm running out of time, and I promised you a workshop. They all go, phew. A few more reasons why we give. Empathy? Very much. You feel, yeah, absolutely. Empathy? I'll throw one out there. How about immortality? I want a library named after me, the Rogers Library. So big endowment giving is for immortality. How about trust of a cause? A lot of people give because they trust the brand, perhaps ignorantly, but maybe that's a challenge we face, because we're not a brand. We're just patient support groups. Do we need a brand? Do we call it iSupport and then just build that? You know, so that's a challenge we'll face. Some other reasons? No one's come close to the actual most popular reason. Yes? Social status, a very good point, absolutely. That I want my giving to reflect who I am. It's a theory I call urban capital, whereby you are not just determined by your socioeconomics, but also by the music you listen to, FIFA, Britney, but also the clothes you wear, the charities that you support. You know, so this urban capital does generate giving, so very, very good observation. A few more, guys. Yes? Yes. Peer pressure. Yeah. It's a great one. It's not the top one, but it was very high up there because all my mates were. No one wants to be the friend that doesn't give. right? That's why Facebook is so amazing. We've built an integrated product where anyone donates on Simply Giving, we push that donation to their wall. So all of their friends start seeing it, right? And so no one wants to be that one that doesn't appear on that wall in that day. So yeah, peer pressure. Guilt is also similar, I guess, to empathy, the negative side of empathy. Obviously, the one that should have been the most obvious in this room is obviously because we've been affected by the cause. You know, we're survivors, or I'm affected by diabetes, or, you know, that's a very important part of what makes people give. But we asked 80,000 people, why did you give? None of you have given me the right answer. Tax deduction is a great one. Again, not the main one. In Singapore, you can currently claim 3.5 what you donate as a tax benefit. Whew. And they've committed to that, the government, until 2017. So any Singaporean-based fundraising program should be really leveraging the tax deductibility. I always say, not often, that we're no longer asking for a donation, we're asking for a sponsorship. You know, everyone wants something in return. It's the whole idea of corporate sponsorship, but crowdfunding, which I wish we had more time to go into, is a quid pro quo transaction. What do I get in return? Still, no one's given me the answer. You have 1 minute. Yes, sir.
For some philanthropy, it's visibility.
Visibility, yeah. And I think I didn't even write that down from the gentleman there, but it's for social status, visibility, yeah? Social status, yeah. I should be, look at my writing. My son, who's 16 months, can write better. I dictate. Okay, still, no one has given me that. So let me give you a few more in the interest of time. These are some that came up. Passion, shared vision, respect for leaders. Mandela did that very well by being an ambassador for many charities, and his status led to a trust of giving. Influence of friends, feels good, the first one that we got here from Vijay. Social status, ego, giving back, sympathy, compassion, emotional response, cultural reasons, and religious beliefs. We're days away from one of the most significant times for Muslims, Ramadan, and it's one of the cornerstones of the faith is to give. So for religious people, I'm a Catholic, I give for religious reasons as well. Self-preservation, immortality, tax benefits, still the overriding most popular answer when people are asked, why do you give? Because I was asked. So, for all of you fundraisers there, everyone seems terrified to ask. But why did you give? Well, someone asked me to. Right? So, if you are involved in your fundraising strategy, do an audit of your websites, your letters, your annual reports, your direct marketing, your postcards, your medical report, everything you put out. Is there an ask? And it's the crime of the century. And every website I go to, there's very seldom do I see a well-integrated ask. Ask and you shall receive. It's in the doctrines, people. But no one wants to go like this, right? No one wants to walk into a room like this. I certainly don't. But we can frame an ask around a story. Let's be engaging, which is a great segue into the final part of my presentation. 3 simple steps to fundraising success. Now, I have brought with me an A4 sheet with the 7 steps to fundraising success and some campaign bans. I'll leave them here after and at the back tomorrow if you don't have a chance now in the rush to take one. But please do, and we can connect and I can email you it after if not. But to whittle it down just to 3 fundamental steps to fundraising success is identify your community, engage with them, and empower and reward them. So let me just quickly explain. They may appear obvious, but even the first one sometimes eludes groups. Identify your community is to understand who your giving community is. Now, in the discipline of fundraising, we call it a constituency model, right? And this is your constituency model, far too small, but you have board members, staff in the middle. The best way to explain this and to make the point is through this. It's the ripple effect. If you think about who you would go to donate, more often than not, they'll appear in the middle and have the strongest impact. They're your previous donors, they're your regular givers, they're staff members, people, your board, your trust committee members, those people. But very seldom do you think beyond the ripple. Granted, it gets weaker and weaker the more distant the relationship is. But have a think about everyone that impacts your life or your struggle or journey. It's service providers, medical providers, corporates. There are many more people you could be asking and are indeed part of your community than just the people on your donor database. I'd love to speak with a few of you after or tonight about who your obvious go-to is for donations and maybe help you widen that scope a little. Engaging with people. Decide the best way to communicate with your community. Technology obviously helps this. Now let me use an example. Has anyone heard of Charity Water? charitywater.org is a great website to get inspiration about fundraising, clarity of message, advocacy. Don't click there yet, though. Give me your time just for a bit longer. Click on the vote link. That's the one I'll urge you all to get onto Wi-Fi for. But let me just quickly show you what Charity Water did. They did this in a very good way. We can do it even better. This was a few years ago now, but they did a thank you campaign. Have a look at this.
Charity Water's 5th birthday. Now, as a lot of you know, ever since we started, we've spent our birthdays in the field, drilling wells and broadcasting them around the world via satellite, really trying to connect you to the people being served. But as we turned 5, we decided to mix it up a little this year. We wanted to do something different. We realized that nothing was possible without the help of our amazing supporters. So we've made today a day of thanking you. Now, the office has been filling up. More than 100 staff, interns, and volunteers have taken the day off to personally thank as many people as possible. Writing letters, writing emails, calling people.
Wouldn't be where we are without your support. So happy birthday, dear.
And that's not all. Over the last week, our staff have made 250 personalized videos that we've been sending out all day. And some of them are very, very funny.
Are you looking good?
Today's Charity Water's 5th birthday.
So we're trying to say thank you to as many great people as possible.
We think you're amazing. You guys raised over $6,500. Thank you so much for giving up your 10th birthday at the ice skating rink and raising $100 for Charity Water. You rode your bike across America.
But 2 Ironmans in 8 days, that's crazy.
You raised $2,236 in one concert. You gave up your birthday for clean water.
You guys raised $13,320. Woo!
That's amazing. On behalf of our Charity Water team, I want to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, guys.
Alles Gute zum Geburtstag.
Thanks. Grazie, grazie, grazie.
So thank you.
Thank you. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you. Thank you.
What?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
5 years later, thanks to you, we have now funded over 4,200 water projects in 19 countries. That means that over 2 million people will get clean and safe water to drink. So on behalf of everyone here at Charity Water, on behalf of the 2 million people, thank you.
So quite an inspiring thing that they did. They, like many larger charities, get approached all the time by corporates to do volunteer work because it's a workplace giving thing. They said, yes, get them all in and spend the whole day thanking every single donor we've ever had. From a girl who raised $100 on her birthday to guys that raised millions through music and events. So I know that's very well produced, and I know that you're thinking that's beyond you, but guys, this is an incredible filmmaker. You know, right now in this room, we could do a selfie, and it could be a video selfie, and we could say, we're all here to advocate for better access to treatment for patients. And we could get it out there, and it would be high quality. That's what's changed in 3 years. It's pretty incredible. So don't think that high production video is beyond you. We can all film a message of support. So one of the most successful things that people do with fundraising happens after the fact, thanking them. And I won't ask that in this room because you're not all fundraising professionals, but believe me, when I'm in a room full of charities and I say, how many of you have got stewardship programs, very few hands go up. And all it takes as a group is to think of some stewardship ideas, acknowledgement of gifts, donor recognition, and you have that person for a lot longer than just a one-off donation. Okay. Last but not least is empowering and rewarding people. So obviously, it's very important to build relationships with those that support you and that donate to you, whether it's corporate or individual. So no matter how big or how small the amount, think of ways in which you can reward them. A classic is simply to include their name digitally or via social network or in your annual reports if we even do those. Crowdfunding is particularly successful because of the way in which they always offer rewards. And I'm not saying commercial. One of the best awards, and we're toying with this, is if someone raises 10,000 ringgit on our platform, we'll saint them. So they'll have a little halo that appears on their Facebook that says, I'm no longer Chris, I'm Saint Chris, because I've raised 10,000 bucks. It's all about gamification and reward. Quid quo pro. It's no longer a donation, it's a sponsorship. What's in it for me? So take a bit of time to perhaps look at that. And here's some simple ways which any of our groups, big or small, could do that. Open days, special events, newsletters, behind-the-scenes tours, if that's applicable, if some of you operate within medical facilities, telephone calls, anniversaries, volunteering opportunities. Bring a friend is always great. Hey, you just donated or fundraised $1,000 for me. Bring a friend. Come to one of our meetings, because by bringing a friend, you're rewarding the donor, but you're also introducing a new person to the cause. It's very clever. Social networks, handwritten notes behind the image. I do apologize. That was lost in migration, but that should say receipts. Special briefings, and this is one that anecdotally is working beautifully. On so many websites now, you will see social plugins that allow you to comment via Facebook. It's proving incredibly successful because for every comment someone leaves on your donation page, they're reaching out to their friends. Now, I can count my real friends on my hand, right? That I have dinner with, that I care about, that I see often. But online, I've got 1,700 friends. I don't know them all, but we have something in common. I don't know what that might be, but we are like-minded in one aspect of our lives. And so reaching out beyond your donor to their social network is very powerful. Okay, so there's your 3 simple steps. I can expand on them and I will, but we are out of time. The last thing I wanted to do was obviously to move on to the project workshop, which we haven't got time to do. You have all got this, I believe, in your packs. What I'd love to put out there is for those that did raise their hand, that are involved with fundraising, maybe if one of you will be so kind as to share with the group that fundraising experience or something you have planned, and use me, because I have a lot of experience, to maybe troubleshoot that challenge or agree with you about how successful it was. But if there's someone in this room that would like just to walk me through a recent and relevant fundraising challenge that they've had, that would be great. Is there anyone here? We always seem to pick on you. It's because you're the most open-hearted. But please.
I was planning to share it because it was a very new,
Vijay.
it was a very new, unexpected, and a very rewarding experience. We wanted to raise funds, and we were like never able to raise funds. We were like so bad in raising funds, and we need funds because we have like 17,000 CML patients who need money to do their tests every 4 months, who need money to come to their treatment center, who need money to buy tickets for their caregivers who have to bring them. And so we have this huge, big organization. We call ourselves Friends of Max, and so and the Max Foundation actually supports this. I mean, it's our support group arm in India. And to be very honest, along with somebody, we did a big event where we had a very popular singer come and perform, and we put in money and we lost all the money because the sponsors never gave us their money, people never bought their tickets, and everybody came, wanted a free show and stuff like that. Anyway, so we just decided to do something. It is not an original idea.
No.
I had gone to Australia in 1995, Australia's biggest tea coffee day.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure Dr. Ross has heard about that. Yeah. And I brought back a mug from there, and I'd kept it on my table. And I had told myself we should do this in India sometime. And so I guess the right time came, and we said, okay, we're going to do chai for cancer. We'll designate a day every year. And this year, the day was 11th May. For some reason, it was 11th May. It was a Sunday. And we said, we all will have little chai parties in our home. We call it adda in Hindi. Chai adda in our house. And we will call our friends, our neighbors, our families. And we will make tea. We will make samosas. We will make biryani or whatever. We'll have cake. We'll call them. We'll give them as many cups of chai as they want, but they will have to pay 100 rupees per cup of chai. And we being all the volunteers, all the patient leaders, all the caregivers who form the city core group of the Friends of Max in India. So on 11th of May, we had like 37 tea parties.
Okay,
37 tea parties in over 22 cities. And a lot of the parties were held in homes. Like I had 58 people come to my house. 58 people came to my home and had biryani and chai and samosas. And they donated. They were my friends, they were my family, they were my neighbors. Some of them have never come to my house before. I put it out on Facebook. I made a page, Chai for Cancer, on Facebook. I said, like my page. And we kept bombarding Twitter. We made a Twitter handle for ourselves. And so people saw somebody saw it on my Facebook page and they came home. And they brought their friends over. A friend of mine had a party in her house, and her friends have said next year they will have.
Great.
Somebody had it in a restaurant, somebody had it there, somebody had it in 2 major hospitals. The doctors came and they bought their chai. All day they bought their chai from that stand. We raised enough money to recover the money we had lost.
At the event?
3 times over.
Brilliant.
That is Chai for Cancer.
Thank you very much. Can I ask you, did you work out how many patients that opened access to treatment for? Like, did you look at the amount raised and said, this has helped?
I didn't want to say anything because we're still working on all that stuff. Yeah, we still need to do this. We still need to find out how much totally money came.
Yeah.
You know, where are we going to spend? Where are we going to spend that money? Because we have the group has it's in its mission statement. It says that these are the 3 areas where they're going to fund. Right. You know, but then we still haven't really got down to working on all that, which is why I didn't really want to talk about it. But it was such a wonderful thing. You know, it was really wonderful. Thank you, Australia.
I wish online fundraising was my idea. It wasn't. I saw it happening in England, and we did the same in Australia. So take ideas, make them your own. What you did beautifully was you localized it culturally and in its language.
Identified the community.
Yeah.
What happened was people felt involved.
Yeah.
They took ownership.
Right, ownership. We missed that.
Ownership.
Yeah.
And then we empowered them. You know, I don't know. What was the second point also we did? You know, we identified the community. Something you said which was right. We engaged the community, and we empowered the community.
Okay, wonderful. There's Leapfrog Australia with a few tips I'll give you that you can do. The first is obviously at the outset you wanted to finance an ongoing need. Ongoing need lends itself wonderfully to regular giving. There are lots of solutions out there which you can deploy if it's online, or you can even handle it offline if you're compliant with a few things. But ask those people, say, guys, this is not a problem that's going to go away. This person requires long-term treatment, and it's 100 rupee every time. So it's a wonderful opportunity to actually say, well, would you like to give this fortnightly, monthly, annually? So a regular giving program would be good. Also, Facebook is very smart. They have built this analytical thing called Edge, which identifies who on Facebook is the most active, who likes the most things, who shares, who has the most friends. So by going back and thanking them on the Facebook fan page, and especially those that are most influential, according to these big analytical programs, will reach more people for participation in the future. Yeah. Oh, it's small baby steps. It's just celebrate, revel in its success. But there's an exciting road now because there's so many case studies, not just Australia, but so many different places where you can learn best practice. So good.
Any questions?
We're so good.
Please.
Look at that.
Yeah, we're so good. Just one little question,
Yeah.
but it could be a big thing. Okay, would a fundraising ever been a project that we were liable to be caught for? What I mean is do you have any examples? Because certain countries, especially in Asian countries, because this thing is not so cultural.
Yes.
And would it involve any legal? Because we've been worried about like doing fundraising and suddenly it involves some legal issues.
Yes.
Or maybe at least the tax and revenue department will come to us and, start to do some investigations. So what are the precautions and do and don'ts that you should?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Yes?
Yeah, for Chai for Cancer, what we did was we trademarked Chai for Cancer. We went to the Trademark Association, we had it trademarked. We had receipts for every single payment. We had receipts, and the group already has the tax deduction thing from the government.
Yes.
So that's something we did to ensure that nobody would come and say, you've taken all this money, and you kind of made money. So it's all accounted, it's all accounted and receipts given.
In Malaysia, there is an examples where people have been caught for collecting monies.
Yes.
Funds.
Yes, indeed. And when they've done it illegally, and also the biggest threat is one we control within this room, which is misappropriation of funds. Now, it's not just misappropriation, long word, but let me just tell you, we're in a post-Coney world. Did we all hear of the Coney 2012 campaign, which is to raise awareness about this warlord in Africa? Overnight, it took a week, there was 1 billion views of the Coney film on YouTube. And it raised Invisible Children, the organization, tens of millions of dollars. It was a fantastic success, but then when they put out a report, they realized that only 30% of the money raised actually went on the ground to services in Uganda. More than that, the lion's share was used in video production, right? So the supporters, the slacktivists who clicked and liked, were up in arms. But they missed the point. They missed the point that what Invisible Children did was created a conversation overnight in every room in the world about this warlord Joseph Kony. Now, the reason I'm telling you this story, and let me try and be succinct, is there's two things we can do. One is we can comply with legislation. I'll come to that in a moment. Second is we can be transparent to our donors, which is, I think, more important. I have studied, I've had legal counsel, in 16 countries in Asia about fundraising compliance. Even in Malaysia, there is no unified legislation that regulates the non-profit sector. We as a business benchmark Singapore as having the best compliance. So what you have to do is just make sure with your collected money that your costs don't outweigh what goes towards the service. Very important. Secondly, you are receipting your donors, whether that's a tax-deductible gift receipt, which how many people in this room have that status as an organization? A few. Great. You can leverage that for compliance. If we don't, receipt them nonetheless. Third and finally is make sure your stewardship is in place. After the event, go back to every supporter and tell them what their money is being used for. Disclose your costs. And say, it costs us this much to put on this event, but this much money is going to treatment. So disclosure comes above compliance. In my view, your auditor today is your micro donor. It's no longer your Deloitte's and your big 3 consultancies. Your auditor is the person that gave you 100 rupee. And if you can make that person happy, that they know the money is going to the right cause, then you can sleep at night. Now, investigatively, there are cases in every country where misappropriation of funds has happened. And the only thing I can advise is obviously you seek counsel and make sure we're best practice as support groups. There is information available in simple checklists, multi-language, about how you can overcome compliance issues. I can make that available through Max, through you guys, after this talk. I hope that helped. I feel I've kind of skitted over it a little.
Yeah, that
It's a
is
tough one.
That is most helpful.
Yeah, it's a tough one though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bole, I think we're out of time.
I think you're perfect. Any more
I
questions?
think you're perfect.
Any more questions?
Any sharing, any stories you can share with us? 'Cause
Yeah,
this is
anybody want
learning
to
from
share? Of course, I believe that some of the group has, make their own fundraise, and you can share your challenges or, yeah.
Maybe I'm PT from Malaysia, so maybe I can do a short sharing. I
Yeah.
was partially involved in one of the projects there, the Maximo, right? So I was actually one of the sub-team. So initially we didn't have a very high target. We just sort of donate the books. Selling the books to some friends and colleagues, so that we use the books and donate to the children with cancer in the hospitals. So we didn't have a very high target. But what I didn't realize is that when we start to engage some of the colleagues or friends or families, there are some unique individuals within the groups that actually help us to expand the donations beyond our groups.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, I tried to do some readings after that, and I found that these people are actually called connectors. And we can actually make use of this knowledge in our fundraising. These connectors is the one that actually help us to link to other people that we do not know, that you can be surprised with the end result because it can be triple, quadruple, and by the time you get the end results, right, it's wow.
It's humbling, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's incredible.
So take note of those.
It's the 6 degrees of separation, commonly known as the Kevin Bacon theory, that between you and anyone else in this world, there's only 6 people that separate you. And you've made a very important point that I, as a fundraising professional, didn't, is that you don't have to attract donors. You have to attract influencers. Find amongst your network who you know will open doors. It's not new school. This is old school. Find out who is a key influencer, who operates in more than one social group, who has a professional group, who's in a sports group. Identify those with many networks, on and offline, and they will drive a bigger result. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Chris, just add on to what PT has said. So it's like the connector, the influencer. We actually both working on that, donate a book to the pediatric children. And out of our surprise, actually out of my surprise, our connector or the influencer is actually our hematologist.
A hematologist.
Yeah, the doctor.
Yeah.
So, we kind of shy to ask the doctor to donate, but then we decided to just open our mouth and ask. And then out of our surprise, two of our doctors who is a key opinion leaders just said, okay, I'm going to ask all my colleagues and all my healthcare team to donate and support the thing.
Yeah. It's amazing, and I'll leave you with one thought on that, that people are more likely to give when they're asked by someone they know. So if these 2 guys asked the other 2 doctors, they wouldn't really care that much. But when the hematologist says to the doctors, look guys, I support these crew, you should too. Brilliant.
I think Dr. Hari has a question.
Hi. No, I wouldn't call myself a fundraiser, but
you're the next target.
But
there's an inside joke here, is there?
Made some efforts because we do have a lot of leukemia patients and lymphoma patients coming, and they're really, really poor. So I was looking at a strategy as to how to. Many a time, it's difficult to find funds immediately to start off their treatment. So I thought it would be, all of us, my group, thought it would be a good idea to generate a corpus and keep it in readiness so that we could take some money from that corpus and give it to the patient to at least initiate the therapy so that subsequently some agencies would come in forth to kick in and continue the therapy.
Yeah.
So this is something which we started sometime in 2009. We had this Leukemia Lymphoma Foundation in our hospital, And we had our social worker group and also many voluntary people who used to come there for working, so we got them into, and so we started meeting on a regular interval, and they spread their tentacles to various other organizations to try and get funds, whatever, be it 10,000 rupees or 15,000 rupees, or whoever walks into Tata Hospital, make them aware that there is some foundation like this, and if you wish to donate some money into that, you can do that. And this is not only for any of the patient's family members or anybody, but also to the industry, because if we were to go and give some talk somewhere, we would ask some of them to, because Tata Hospital has a policy to, you can get into your disease management group, as you call it, and you can give your honorarium or whatever into the disease management group, so that that goes into the funding. So that's an indirect way of sort of giving something to the, so it has sort of worked. And
sure,
the last year we were able to support more than 100 patients on this.
From that fund?
Yeah, the fund. But it's a dynamic fund, comes in and goes. So.
And it sits with high interest, I hope, not in escrow. Okay, great. The thing I love about that, thank you, is that it's already working. You can say to new sponsors, hey, we have a fund, it's helping these people, you can be part of it. Psychologically, it's saying, well, this isn't a new idea I'm buying into. There is this legacy fund that I can be part of. Weaving it into your introduction to new partners, new sponsors is genius. Saying, sure, come on board, work with us, but by the way, you're kind of obliged to give into this trust because everyone else is. It's that guilt trip. But I'm glad it's working. How do you monitor the fund? Do you audit it, or do you manage it with a committee? Okay. The temptation having a big fund there, what I call the sugar daddy fund, is a misappropriation of funds. So it has to sit in a very clearly defined way. But it sounds wonderful. It's great to see that working. I want to be part of that. It just sounds like it's, you know, a legacy giver. It's good. Thank you for sharing.
Okay. Yeah, Donnie, one last question. Okay.
Sir from Taiwan. That mobilizes the students. I love that answer, by the way.
I want to share. I don't know if it is a topic or not. It's I'm thinking about how to make the donation very easy. Okay, in the past, and we needed to go to bank, we needed to sign the credit card authorizations, and in Taiwan we have two trends. One trend is make the credit card authorization via online.
Yeah.
And for myself, the donation I would like to do is online. Just to take out my credit card and
one click.
One click, yes. And then the new thing is some of association is already cooperate with supermarket. That means the associations give a barcode number. Then when the people go to the supermarket, go to the scanner, and just tell the people how much you want to donate. And it can be done. It can be $1, $2, $3. And the way I want to emphasize is to make the donation very easy.
Yeah.
But I think this topic, not many people do discuss.
No, you're right. And a quick answer. Thank you so much. I believe that everything should be one click away. If it's not, there's a too hard basket in which most people will fall. Payment gateway providers in Asia is very difficult. I've taken a year to find the right one for Simply Giving. We're using WorldPay. They have over 100 ways to give. eNets for Singapore, UnionPay for cross-border from China, all sorts of giving mechanisms. But you're right. Final word of caution, go online. Of course I'm going to say that, I'm the geek. But never isolate the older demographic that would like to write a check. So always leave giving options on there. They might be harder, but some people prefer that. But one click. Thank you very much.